Hi, you are watching New Time on Silkway TV channel. We bring you the most notable news and important events that happened throughout this week in Kazakhstan, Central Asia and around the globe. I'm Nurbek Machani and this is what you will see today. Kassym-Jomart Tokayev has wrapped up an official visit to Brussels, where Kazakhstan and the European Union signed a series of agreements. What do the new deals mean for trade, investment and strategic cooperation? Kazakhstan is developing AI-powered platform for sign language translation. How could digital technologies improve accessibility and inclusion for people with hearing impairments? For the first time in history, Kazakhstan will host the ICU Four-Continent Figure Skating Championships. Why was Astana selected and what will hosting one of the sport's biggest events mean for the country? $12 billion worth of new agreements, progress on visa facilitation and a roadmap for deeper economic cooperation. These are among the key outcomes of Kassym-Jomart Tokayev's official visit to Brussels, where he held talks with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and European Council President Antonio Costa. The visit comes as Kazakhstan and the European Union mark 10 years since the signing of Enhanced Partnership and Cooperation Agreement, a decade during which bilateral trade has more than doubled. So what was agreed and what could it mean for businesses, connectivity and ordinary citizens? Ergali Ramazanoglu analyzes the outcomes of the visit.
The triple handshake between Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, Ursula von der Leyen and Antonio Costa. The symbolism was clear, the substance even clearer. A decade after the signing of the Enhanced Partnership and Cooperation Agreement, bilateral trade has more than doubled, and the two sides are now shifting their focus from political dialogue to implementation. What followed was a roadmap for expanding cooperation across transport, trade, investment and technology. Brussels reaffirmed its backing for the Middle Corridor, while Kazakhstan invited greater European investment into critical minerals and value-added industries. Both sides also signaled progress on visa facilitation, bringing easier travel a step closer. The next stage of partnership was then sealed with a package of agreements. After the high-level talks, President Tokayev's agenda shifted from diplomacy to business. The head of state held a series of meetings with European institutions and global companies, securing commitments in aviation, logistics, retail and infrastructure. Group ADP confirmed plans to further expand Almaty Airport, with passenger capacity projected to reach 55 million by 2050. Mediterranean shipping company expressed readiness to invest in logistics terminals, rail assets, port infrastructure and air cargo operations, supporting the development of the Trans-Caspian Middle Corridor. Meanwhile, Inditex, one of the world's largest fashion retailers, reaffirmed its long-term commitment to the Kazakh market and discussed opportunities to expand its network of stores, strengthening cooperation with local partners. The president also met with officials from the European Investment Bank to discuss financing for sustainable transport, renewable energy and critical infrastructure projects.
According to UNCTAD's latest World Investments Report, Kazakhstan ranks first in Central Asia in attracting FDI and remains the leading destination among post-Soviet and landlocked developing countries. Nearly 4,000 European companies operate successfully in Kazakhstan. Many of them, including Airbus, Polpharma Group, Air Liquide, Skoda Group, and Alstom, and many others, have been trusted partners for decades. We are also pleased to welcome a new generation of European investors, including Roca Group, Inditex, Maersk, DeWolf, and Damen Shipyards groups. Their presence is helping Kazakhstan to integrate into global value chains in advanced manufacturing, transport and logistics, engineering, digital technologies, and sustainable industries.
The president made these remarks at the Kazakhstan-EU Business Roundtable, which brought together leading companies and investors from across the European Union. Kassym-Jomart Tokayev turned to Kazakhstan's long-term economic ambitions, outlining plans to strengthen the country's role as a regional logistics hub connecting Europe with Central Asia, China, the Caucasus and the Middle East.
We are investing heavily in infrastructure, including the construction of thousands of kilometers of new railways and the development of the Trans-Caspian International Transport Route, the so-called Middle Corridor. These efforts align seamlessly with the European Union's Global Gateway strategy, transforming the Middle Corridor into a core, sustainable artery for secure Euro-Asian connectivity. Our infrastructure modernization has already yielded impressive results. Over the past 6 years, annual cargo volumes along this route expanded fivefold, from 0.8 million to 4.1 million tons. Our goal is to increase its capacity to 10 million tons. To sustain this momentum, Kazakhstan has invested more than $35 billion in transport and logistics infrastructure over the past 15 years.
Kassym-Jomart Tokayev also highlighted Kazakhstan's growing role in securing Europe's supply chains. He said the country is ready to supply 21 of the 34 minerals on the EU's list of critical raw materials and called on European companies to invest in processing and higher value manufacturing in Kazakhstan.
At the same time, Kazakhstan remains committed to advancing the global energy transition. It is well known that Kazakhstan is the world's largest producer of uranium, supplying around 40% of global demand. Alongside our substantial reserves of oil, gas, and coal, we are actively developing green hydrogen projects. Furthermore, significant untapped reserves of lithium, nickel, vanadium, and cobalt lie within our territory. To capitalize on this, European partners are invited to cooperate in energy storage and smart grid projects aimed at enhancing overall efficiency. Ultimately, we offer our partners a pragmatic formula, investments and technologies in exchange for access to strategic resources, fully aligned with European standards.
The discussion in Brussels reinforced a shared vision of a long-term strategic partnership between Kazakhstan and the European Union. The visit concluded with the signing of commercial agreements worth more than $12 billion, marking another step in translating the Kazakhstan-EU partnership into concrete investment projects. Yergali Ramazanule, New Time.
Also in Brussels, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev met with Belgian Prime Minister Bart de Wever. The president called Belgium one of Kazakhstan's key partners within the European Union. Belgium ranks among the top 10 investors in Kazakhstan's economy, whose total direct investment reaching $15 billion over the past 20 years. But what truly drives our partnership with Belgium, and how can we take it even further? We examined how these two countries continue to work together and build on what they have. Let's take a look.
30 years ago, two countries on opposite ends of the Eurasian continent established diplomatic ties. Today, Belgium is one of Kazakhstan's most consistent and consequential partners in Europe. Over 110 Belgian companies operate across Kazakhstan in energy, logistics, chemicals, and infrastructure. Bilateral trade exceeded $580 million last year, and the investment relationship, built over 2 decades, now stands at $15 billion. This relationship works on alignment, shared interests in trade, technology, and long-term economic cooperation. That alignment was fully on display in Brussels this week.
The EU and Belgium as well are investing so heavily in Kazakhstan. So as was mentioned, there's a couple of aspects that are particularly relevant. So energy, critical raw materials, the collaboration on transport, on climate as well. And of course the diplomatic role that has with the strategic partnership that was signed.
And collaboration on transport is already producing real results. Every strong partnership needs a physical connection, and for Kazakhstan and Belgium, that connection is now taking shape along one of the world's most ambitious trade routes. Earlier this year, KTZ Express completed its first delivery along the Trans-Caspian International Transport Route all the way to the port of Antwerp, one of Europe's largest logistics hubs. The cargo left Kazalorda, crossed the Caspian through Aktau, moved through Aliyad and Poti, and arrived in Belgium by sea by one unbroken chain. Partnerships were also made in the educational sector. Kazakhstan signed a memorandum with Kent University to establish a mirror laboratory in Kazakhstan that focuses on mathematics, AI, and engineering computation. The concept is built for the modern research environment. Kazakhstan scientists work alongside Belgian counterparts in real time, sharing methods, data, and discoveries without either side having to relocate. Anchoring it all is Alem AI, Kazakhstan's national platform connecting universities, research centers, investors, startups, and industry partners under one roof. Kazakhstan is also working to deepen its access to EU research funding, a process that could open doors to one of the world's largest science hubs, science budgets.
The current cycle stands at 95 billion euros. The next cycle is expected to reach around 170 billion euros. This is a long process, not quick, not simple. But for us it is a very important step. First, it means access to this enormous pool of funding. And second, access to the expertise of the best research centers, institutes and universities in Europe.
Investments and agreements define a partnership on paper. People define it in practice. During his time in Brussels, President Tokayev met with students and young professionals from Kazakhstan who currently live and work in Belgium. That meeting was a part of broader history unfolding between the two countries. Earlier this year, Brussels hosted its very first Kazakh cultural festival, Shanrak Fest, featuring over 40 Kazakh artists performing folk, classical and traditional music.
Our country needs educated, progressive and intellectually driven young people like you. Wherever I go, I always support the youth. And these are not just words. Supporting young people is an integral part of our country's long-term policy. Young Kazakhstanis study and work in different corners of the world. As president, I support that, because wherever you are, you remain Kazakhs.
Kazakhstan and Belgium partnership runs deeper than most realize, and both sides are committed to taking it further. President Tokayev confirmed his exceptional regard for the upcoming state visit of the King Philip of Belgium to Kazakhstan, the very first royal visit in the entire history of relations between the two countries. He also personally invited Prime Minister De Wever to visit Astana. The invitation was accepted. Almira Mirov, New Time.
Relations between Kazakhstan and the European Union are entering the new chapter, according to the European Commissioner for Trade and Economic Security. In an exclusive comment to our channel in Brussels, Maros Shevchovich noted that the President Tokayev's visit has taken cooperation far beyond politics. The discussions at the highest level have clearly proved that our economies fully complement each other, and the parties see each other as reliable strategic partners.
What we have seen in very impressive discussion of the business leaders with President Tokayev and representatives of the European Union, be it President Costa, President von der Leyen or myself, responsible for trade and economic securities, have clearly proven that we are very compatible and complementary economies, and on top of it, that we see each other as very strategic and trusted partners. And today, when we are living through the volatility, through the geoeconomic turbulences, what we heard from the business leaders was that certainty, predictability, trust in your partner are very important currencies.
For more exclusive coverage of President Tokayev's official visit to Belgium straight from Brussels, watch the latest episode of The Reporter with President on our YouTube channel. Simply scan the QR code below to watch this week's edition. Kazakhstan Tokayev has shared his vision for the future of Kazakhstan-EU relations in an article published by Euronews. As both sides mark 10 years since the signing of the Enhanced Partnership and Cooperation Agreement, the President noted that the European Union remains Kazakhstan's largest trade and investment partner. The head of state identified transport and logistics, energy, critical raw materials, digital technologies, education and people-to-people exchanges as priorities for future cooperation. President Tokayev added that stronger ties between Kazakhstan and the EU would create new economic opportunities and contribute to stability across the wider Eurasian region.
Thousands of European companies operate successfully in our country, accruing profits and benefits to Europe even as they help modernize and diversify our economy. This was and is a great achievement, but is it enough in a rapidly changing world? I think not. I return to Brussels with an open motivation and a clear conviction. The partnership between Kazakhstan and the European Union matters more today than ever before, and that is why it must be strengthened. This is necessary because previous geopolitical assumptions no longer hold. Geography and power are making a comeback. Resurgent competition is rapidly reshaping trade, technology and investment flows. Global supply chains are newly vulnerable. Trade and economic independence now fall prey to national security. As Europe knows well, in such circumstances, countries can either retreat into rival blocs or build new partnerships of mutual respect and shared interest. Kazakhstan knows this too. Our geography places us at the intersection of continents. Our foreign policy seeks to connect them.
Moving to Central Asia, our region remained firmly in the spotlight this week, from high-level diplomacy to a historic sporting breakthrough. For more, let's turn to our weekly review, Central Asia in Focus, with my colleague Almir Amirov joining me now. Almir, what stood out to you over this week?
Hello, Nurbek. One of the key themes of the past 7 days was how Central Asian countries are investing not only in stronger regional ties, but also in a more sustainable and competitive future. Let's begin with the high-level talks in Akorda. Regional cooperation was high on the agenda in this week as Kassym-Jomart Tokayev welcomed Saida Mirziyoyeva, the head of the presidential administration of Uzbekistan, for talks in Astana. During the meeting, President Tokayev emphasized the importance of close cooperation between the two countries, describing Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan as major states of the region, whose partnership contributes to stability and cooperation across Central Asia. The discussions touched on digitalization and artificial intelligence, with the head of state recalling Uzbekistan's recent achievements in the field following his visit to Bukhara. To finish off, the president noted that both nations are at an important stage of development, emphasizing that peace and security are essential for carrying out reforms and achieving long-term progress. And moving to the next topic, as countries around the world search for more sustainable ways to grow food, Kyrgyzstan is making significant progress in sustainable agriculture, with over 60,000 hectares of land now converted to organic production. The milestone was announced at a Science to Practice conference focused on transforming the Issyk region into the country's first fully organic territory. Kyrgyzstan has identified organic farming as a national priority, with efforts underway to further develop it. This development is part of the broader green push happening in Kyrgyzstan after receiving $50 million in grants from the World Bank to support its transition to clean energy. Officials say the growth of organic output will boost Kyrgyzstan's environmental sustainability and can even offer a potential blueprint for fellow Central Asian nations sharing similar agricultural landscapes. While Kyrgyzstan is focusing on greener agriculture, neighboring Uzbekistan is working to modernize its manufacturing base through cleaner and more efficient technologies. The European Bank for Reconstruction and Development is investing $25 million in Uzbekistan's steel sector, supporting the modernization of the Tashkent pipe plant, one of the country's leading private steel manufacturers. The funding will help upgrade production facilities and introduce energy-efficient technologies for manufacturing steel products and insulated pipes. According to the EBRD, the project is expected to reduce natural gas consumption by 22% and cut electricity use by up to 35% annually. The initiative forms part of the EBRD's Green Economy Transition Strategy and broader efforts to support sustainable industrial development across Central Asia. And finishing with sports, history was made in Mexico City just last weekend as Uzbekistan stepped onto the World Cup stage for the very first time, becoming the first Central Asian nation ever to play at football's biggest tournament. Although they fell 3-1 against Colombia, the result could not overshadow the pride felt across the entire region. Perhaps the most touching story of the night was not on the pitch. Fans from all the Central Asian nations came together in the stands to wave all 5 flags side by side, showing the solidarity between the brother nations. Kazakh supporters were even spotted in Uzbek jerseys, chanting for Uzbekistan as if they were their own. And that's all I have for today. Nurbek?
Thanks, Almir, and we continue. Kassym-Jomart Tokayev has invited Thai companies to explore Kazakhstan's growing investment opportunities. The proposal came during his meeting with Thailand's Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sihasak Pyeongtaek, who reaffirmed Bangkok's readiness to serve as a bridge for closer cooperation between Kazakhstan and ASEAN region. He also described Kazakhstan as an increasingly influential middle power and Thailand's key partner in Central Asia. Following the talks, the distinguished guest sat down for an exclusive interview with our channel to discuss the future of Kazakhstan-Thailand relations, from trade, investment and tourism to digital transformation and energy security. Here's a preview of their conversation.
Where do you see the biggest potential for expanding our economic cooperation?
You know, we see Kazakhstan as a gateway to the other countries in Central Asia, combined population of 80 million, and with increased purchasing power, especially Kazakhstan. And also Thailand, by way of our strategic location, is an important gateway into the ASEAN region, which and our combined market is about over 700 million, and we're integrating our economy. So it goes beyond our bilateral ties. But when we talk with our private sector, we think that one area is in terms of food security. Mm-hmm. Thailand is a big producer of food. We have this theme where we call ourselves kitchen of the world, right? Mm. And we think that we can supply not only food products, but we like to think over the long term maybe we can make Kazakhstan a manufacturing hub for processing food products for Kazakhstan and the nearby countries. On the other hand, energy security is important to Thailand. We see Kazakhstan as an important source of energy, but we have to go into the details as how they will be transported. Logistics is very, very important. Mm-hmm. And also, tourism is growing. We have more tourists from Kazakhstan coming to Thailand, and Thai people are also discovering various tourist destinations in Kazakhstan, and that's facilitated by the fact that we have direct air links.
Kazakhstan plans to develop a national AI-powered platform for sign language translation. The initiative aimed at improving accessibility for people with hearing impairments was announced by the government following a review of international best practices. Kazakhstan already has a range of digital inclusion projects, including the Ye-Mdao platform and initiatives led by more than 100 universities. But the local AI developers and researchers say building an effective sign language AI system is far more complex than it may seem, meaning artificial intelligence will play a highly specialized role in the project.
I always say that artificial intelligence doesn't replace human AI. First of all, AI is a tool for automation and optimization. Automation needs formalization. Formalization needs standardization. So introducing AI creates a pressure on the system to finally standardize Kazakh sign language. But our solution sign bridge we built as a separate modules, speech to text, glossing, and avatar animation, and backtask. Each part can optimize it independently. The realistic solution for using its hybrid model, where common phrases and words work offline on the usual phone. But complex requests needs cloud or graphical processes. That's not science fiction. This is an engineering task that is already in our agenda.
Artificial intelligence is often measured in chips, computing power, and data centers, but according to a leading expert from Massachusetts Institute of Technology, none of that matters without people who know how to use it. Munter Daleh, founder of MIT Institute of Data Systems and Society, says countries hoping to compete in AI era must now invest not only in infrastructure but also in talent and education. These ideas were at the center of AI Summer School 2026, which brought together experts from Kazakhstan, Europe, US, and China. The event highlighted Kazakhstan's growing focus on AI education. Astana IT University recently became the first in the Eurasian region to partner with MIT, providing access to educational programs in AI and data science, including executive courses and intensive bootcamps led by MIT professors. Dale says Kazakhstan already has a strong foundation for success, pointing to high educational standards and clear commitment from both government and industry to develop AI skills.
The education level of everyone is very high and the aptitude for education is very high. People are eager to learn. What's more important is the industry and the government and everybody else that are interested in getting everybody up to speed in education. That is not what you see everywhere, having that commitment, and I see that very strongly here in Kazakhstan. We have an agreement right now in the making for us to collaborate over a 3-year period where we utilize some of our existing hybrid education. So it has an online component and a residential component, like myself being here. And so that is training, speed training within the field of artificial intelligence and data science. And we're looking forward to this collaboration.
Kazakhstan may become the first country in Central Asia to introduce age limits for social media. The proposal was recently raised in Parliament following a path already taken by several countries around the world, most notably Australia, which introduced one of the strictest restrictions on children's access to social media. But how does it work in practice, and does it actually achieve its goal?
Debate over social media regulation in Kazakhstan is not new. Following discussions around TikTok regulation in 2024, lawmakers began exploring broader restrictions on children's access to social media. The issue returned to the parliamentary agenda last spring amid growing concerns about the impact of online platforms on young users. Research shows that 88% of children in Kazakhstan owned smartphones in 2024, while 1 in 5 parents admitted they did not know what their child posts online. Citing similar measures introduced abroad, some lawmakers are now calling for age restrictions on social media and new tools that would allow parents to better monitor their children's online activity.
Today, many countries have introduced restrictions on children's use of social media. This include China, South Korea, France, and the United States and Australia. In China, authorities have moved to regulate minors' use of mobile devices, including limiting smartphone access during nighttime hours from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. France has banned mobile phones in schools for students under 15 and introduced regulations governing children's access to online platforms. There are many examples around the world. If we are serious about protecting the next generation and thinking about the country's future, then we need to take concrete actions now.
Similar debates are taking place around the world, but countries are taking different approaches. Australia became the first country to introduce a nationwide ban on social media accounts for children under 16. Under the law, platforms are expected to verify users' ages through identification documents, facial recognition, or banking information. Supporters say the measure helps protect children from harmful content and addictive online behavior. Critics, however, argue that age limits alone cannot solve the problem. They point to recommendation algorithms, platform design, and broader online safety challenges. Some also warn that large-scale age verification could create new privacy concerns. Australia's experience has already become part of the debate. While supporters view the law as an important safeguard, digital rights advocates argue that its effectiveness remains far from proven.
The social media ban has not protected kids. Firstly, for most kids, it hasn't even worked. 70% of Australians under the age of 16 are still on social media platforms. And even if a teen did lose their account, some of the banned social media platforms are still accessible without an account. And teens are really vulnerable when they're looking at these feeds while logged out, because their feeds are going to show them a range of different content. Secondly, it has added a lot of pressure on kids who might no longer be able to access online support networks. In the weeks following the social media ban, the Australian Youth Mental Health Hotline received over 100 calls about the ban. Many of these calls came from suicidal, distressed, isolated, or disabled teens.
Concerns about children's online safety are also growing in Kazakhstan. Research suggests that many children begin using the internet at an early age, while cyberbullying and harmful online content remain persistent challenges. At the same time, the internet has become an important tool for education, communication, and everyday life, creating a difficult balance between protection and access. As discussions continue, experts say that any future legislation would require more than age limits alone. Questions remain over how age verification would work in practice, who would enforce the rules, and what responsibilities online platforms would have. According to legal experts, effective child protection online depends not only on restrictions, but also on clear oversight, accountability, and enforcement mechanisms.
Here, I think is a key role belongs to the state regulator. It should set clear standards for child protection, require regular reports from the platforms, and have real powers to audit and control them and fight them. Also, needs to be an easy complaint channel for parents and teenagers, and companies should report publicly or how they respond on this question. This is not just a nice rule on paper, but the working system with a clear, accountable regulation.
From Australia to Europe and now Kazakhstan, governments all around the world are searching for ways to protect children online. Yet international experience suggests that age limits alone may not solve the problem. As lawmakers continue to debate the future of children's online safety, finding a balance between protection, privacy, and access to the opportunities of the digital world remains a challenging task. Yergali Ramazanuli, Anel Iralieva, New Time.
For the first time ever, Kazakhstan will host one of the figure skating's most prestigious events. Astana has been selected as the next year's venue for the Four Continents Figure Skating Championships, scheduled for February 9th to 14th. Held annually for nearly 3 decades, the competition brings together top athletes from Asia, Africa, Oceania, and the Americas. ISU President Ja Yol Kim says interest in the sport has reached new heights in Kazakhstan, mostly driven by the success of the country's newly crowned Olympic champion, Mikhail Shaidorov. Kim expressed confidence that Astana will provide an outstanding stage for both athletes and fans. Kazakhstan has previously hosted major winter sporting events, including the 2011 Asian Winter Games and 2017 Winter Universiade. However, these championships are expected to become the biggest figure skating event in the history of our country. And that's it for today. New Time is taking a short summer break, but don't go anywhere. Silkway TV channel will continue bringing you special projects from Kazakhstan and across Central Asia. And for the latest news, follow us on social media. See you soon.